up a seat at the bar to join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tanzan, Jess, and Maggie bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 13.28, Little Drummerboy, where we are covering the novel Deadbeat. My name is Tanzan, and I am joined by...
Hello.
Maggie. And...
Recycling bottles, trash bags, 24 eggs, 29, 924 times 11.
Jess. Reading my notes to myself. Is milk really on there? Powdered milk?
I didn't say milk.
Or sorry, eggs?
I don't know
Where
what
do you
that
see
says.
eggs?
I don't know, 24, the third thing. 24 eggs, 24 eyes, 24 ears, times 29.
It says tea glass. So it says powdered milk, recycling bottles, tea glass, and then it's the dimensions, because I've got that tea thing, and then the glass is broken, so I wrote down
Is it a stem?
in centimeters. So 24 centimeters by 29 centimeters, and 9 7/16 inch by 11 7/16 inch. Rounded edge.
Yeah, duh, Jessica.
Sorry, I had to...
It does not say rounded edge.
It was my reading glasses over there.
It doesn't say rounded edge. It doesn't say powdered milk.
It does.
It says the first one is powdered milk.
That's
I
not
see.
a heading.
It doesn't say rounded edge, but that's the note for me to remind myself that that's the dimensions and it has a rounded edge.
Okay. Well, it's working because you remembered it had a rounded edge.
And I won't remember it if it's gone. Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at patreon.com/freeflowrambling. Chapter 39. Harry and Butters ride a newly animated Tyrannosaurus Sue to the site of the Darkhallow. They fight their way to the Wardens, where Harry updates Luccio about the current situation. They are attacked by Corpsetaker, who takes over Luccio, whom Harry is then forced to kill.
Now shit's getting realer.
Weren't those the days? A once-in-a-lifetime weather event.
Those were the days,
my friend,
but they never end. We thought it really would end.
No, that just
The
made
Darkly Hallow will take us all out now.
me think of the All in the Family. Those were the days.
You're old.
Days of our lives.
Shut up, Tanzan.
I can say that because you're older than me.
Yeah, I can also say that.
I'll own it.
So, Sue, man, is that chick old?
I'm pretty sure I was like 23 when this podcast started. 22.
Didn't need glasses.
Now you're
I do.
35.
And you're growing along with us. Mm-hmm. Stranger.
Harry's still older than me, so it's okay. It'll change in a few books, but for now.
Well, no, because I'm pretty sure Harry's like my age.
No, he stopped aging. Like 5 books happened in 1 year, and then like Skin Games wasn't published for 6 years. So like they're still in like 2010 right now. Like Battleground is like 2010, 2012, something like that.
Shut up.
Yeah, straight up.
This is why you're in charge of timelines,
guess,
because neither
yeah.
of us have any concept of it.
Because up until now, Harry and I are like the same age.
Yeah, no,
He was born right around the same, but yeah.
he almost aged a year a book for a while, but then, changes and Ghost Story and whatever came after that all happened in quick succession, and then it took 6 years to publish Skin Games, and then Battleground and peace talks happen the same day.
Well, yeah, they're on the same day, but... I mean, there was some time jumps in there. All right, whatever.
He is 30 in this book, 30 in Proven Guilty, 31 in White Knight, 33 in Small Favor.
But boy, is Sue old.
He's... Jesus, yeah.
He's not Jesus. We already had this discussion, I think.
Changes to Battleground is only 2 years.
Changes.
Changes to Battleground is only 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's like 5 books.
Jeez. Okay. All right. Well, anyways.
So they get outside into the storm, and it's reached insane heights and identify where the vortex is forming. Yay. And Harry and Butters have they've mounted a new steed.
And she can move.
How freaking cool is this?
A little slick around corners, but...
Or not so slick around the corners, as the case may be. Butters is all like... So, first of all, he's like, is she okay? And we find out, they glance back, and they've literally just done the crash through the wall to get out of the... I mean, what else are you going to do with the Tyrannosaurus? But
This is a little bit spoiler to the future. But as Harry's summarizing this book, he goes, they assumed it was some like rowdy pranksters who relocated Sue's bones. I'm like, okay, but how did they explain the wrecking ball that went through the door to get the...
They weren't careful about coming out of it. Which, you know what? Ideally, this is when you want that cartoon moment. And the crash is in the shape of a giant Tyrannosaurus.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
Explain that one. But no, it's just going to be a fucking crushed in wall. And they're just going to be like, these assholes blew up the museum just to get to her.
But brings us back to the conversation of Harry telling Butters about, like, the sober mind does not really care. The non-magical mind is like, no.
Will rationalize anything.
Yeah.
Because same thing, too. Like, it's going to be funny because they just, like, okay, he blew out the glass in the door, but presumably that's all shattered with the rest of it, right? But so this whole dinosaur thing, it's all going to be blowing out. Right, so it's like these people apparently like snuck it. They didn't blast a hole in the wall to access the museum.
In the door.
They walked in somehow,
and then rather than dismantle it piece by piece and carry it out the door, they were like,
brought it out, and like like that would have been simple and easy. Let me just bring my
I just loaded it on the back of a tractor bed, and nobody saw that going down the road.
Right, they just strapped a couple of beetles to each foot and like roller skated this.
The rationalization thing, though, it's never occurred to me until just now. But
I believe
every person is rationalizing away magic. It's like people who are Murphy, and it's their job to tell everyone else it wasn't magic.
Just a guy in a mask.
No one else has the facts. If the only thing you were told was like, yeah, some guy stole a skeleton and set it up in Central Park.
That's true.
It's like, that's not on me for not believing in magic. I'm like, well, the government told me that's what happened. What am I supposed to do? Be like, they're probably lying to me, which they probably are, but how am I supposed to guess magic?
But
there are just, military guys or Murphy or government or politicians or whoever
men in black
that are totally like, it was a prank, shut the fuck up. It was a storm, shut the fuck up.
See, and this is where you're right. So for us sitting over here, we can be like, yeah, sure. But then you got to wonder about the people that live around. And they're like, no, I saw that thing land. That was not like 6 height. Right. And that's, I think, where it starts to get true. So you're right. Somebody who wasn't there, like, hearing news from across the world, right? You're like, oh, my God, I can only imagine what it was like when that volcano blew up or something, right? But yeah, I think that's where it starts getting trickier, is that the people that actually witness or were there or have seen something, they're the ones that are going, that's not how I remember it.
It just occurred to me that, like, our real world Florida man is like the Dresden Files, like Chicago man. What is happening in Chicago?
What have they done now?
Yeah, they're just always hearing stories.
Crazy.
Fucking weirdos in that town.
Fucking weirdos. But yeah, they blasted out of the museum, and then he's like, ooh, she could really move, but does not corner well.
My question is these saddles. Where did you get to? Sue's not sitting in the Field Museum already strapped up.
Wow. Would you like to field this one, Tanzan? It'd be so much more...
Wait, say that again?
Did I miss this?
Yeah, she's wondering why Sue is saddled up. Please tell me you can fill this in, because it'd be so much more satisfying for you to have the answer.
He took it from that other display.
Yeah.
Oh, he did? Okay.
It was already in the app.
Yeah.
It was in the same room.
Fully read over that. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever noticed that before, but fully this most recent
Right, so weird where Tanzan's always like, I don't remember that part. Has that come up yet? Is this a big thing? And so, in the last chapter, that's exactly what they did.
You just wanted to look at your daughter and said, even Tanzan remembers.
Exactly.
Right.
But from what, though?
So literally the end of
There's like the Buffalo
bison in
Bill
there.
or something.
Buffalo Bill display and stuff like that. Yes, as he's talking to Butters and explaining how the hollow works.
Yeah, it's in like the
He gets
very
an
last page
extension
before.
cord, and then he grabs some saddles, and he sticks them on either end of his staff like a plowman's yoke, and carries them down, and uses the extension cords
I don't think
to
all
tie
that
the
was in
saddles around.
I think I would have noticed if all that was in there.
Explain about tying the saddles on. I'm putting that together from the fact that he got some very long extension cords and saddles. Given that I'm going to assume Sue's girth is a little more than a horse's. Yes, yeah, but it does clearly state that he went and got the saddles.
All right, but I want to know this. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the more modern theories on what dinosaurs may have looked like was that they have feathers. So you think Sue, who,
Chickens.
yeah, is like, what the fuck happened to my wings? Where's my feather? Why am I so
My wings!
I am naked and cold.
Can you just imagine a Tyrannosaurus doing the little chicken wing flap with its
Yeah, I think I saw this really convincing comparison to like a Tyrannosaurus Rex and an emu because they have the same, very similar. Their skeletons are very similar with the weird looking claws,
Right.
Very similar to emu wings.
There you go. There you go.
So it's
Right, it could have been.
I'm so naked and I can't nothing.
Which is funny when you stop and think about it, right? Like that little piece of the, right, for years we've been going off, blah, 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 and we're like these mega, ferocious dinosaurs, meat eaters, and they're little teeny tiny, right? And then you're like, well, yeah, no, there was a giant, like, wing attached to that. And like you say, most birds have the feathers and the wings extend much beyond the actual arm and finger string, right?
It's not going to make it to the fossil record.
They're not gonna, right, but yeah, it's like so funny. So I'm like, wow, that just makes a huge thing when it is. Yeah, just this ginormous, like, chicken running around.
Well, they do that all the time,
I'm
right?
embarrassed. Now I have to run. What is that?
Right? It's like instead of like, a chicken running around, it's like when they show the picture of like the roasted chicken running around on his, like the little, right? The little naked foghorn legs.
Speaking of Sue, the best description ever when she bellows and it rattles all the things. Like,
If you're going to
that
ride a
would make a good
dinosaur.
theater moment. Like,
Right.
put it in a-
Like take you back to Jurassic Park with the cup.
Just when his head comes down next to the car vehicle is like totally just like, oh, we're in it now.
Yeah, all right. Sue just peeking through an apartment window somewhere. Very cool.
The power that a 65 million year old fossil can harbor,
That too, yeah.
which is fair enough. It is hard to think about 65 million years.
Again, about time something works in Harry's favor.
Nope.
He's like, okay, animals aren't as strong. Nobody uses them. However, it turns out the older the thing. So yeah, I can slam so much. And again,
You're not thinking big enough. Well,
it's all kind of relative sometimes how Harry talks about some of this stuff. But again, to fill out this freaking dinosaur, that's going to be a lot of power to, right? Is he sucking it in from other places, I mean, obviously he's not
Like
pulling
he
off
said,
life forms.
magic is in the air tonight.
Right? Is he just accessing some of that, or how much of this is Harry's raw power that he's like, I can fucking just whip up a dinosaur because
No,
I've
he
got that
says
much magical muscle,
He says, any other night, I probably couldn't have done it. But given the situation and all the powers that are roaming around right now, it was a little bit easy to tap into.
Well,
the
but
first
yes.
book when he steals from the storm.
Fair enough.
Exactly,
Yeah.
But still, I think, credit where credit's due. This is crazy, Harry.
Yeah. I would also like to point out here as I'm playing that it does specifically now in this chapter. He says, I had rigged the saddles to straddle her spine just at the bend, and I'd had to improvise to get them around her using the large extension cords to tie them into place. So it does specifically say that's how he strapped them on. But he mentions getting them in the last one.
All right. And then you get the little bit further just to remind you of the rules here, okay? Sue doesn't drop if the beat drops, okay? Sue goes wild if the
Sue
beat
gets
drops.
to do whatever the fuck she wants. So once again, I'm like, all right, it seemed like just casual background and just, isn't Butters quirky? But we've had several instances of him practicing for this thing. So part of me is like, okay, I get Tenzin is laughing at my hand gestures, which I don't
For
know.
good reason. For good reason.
They go completely with the
Dracking
point
up
I'm
zombie
making.
ghost soldiers right now.
I'm talking about Sue people. But I was talking about Butters and his drumming, okay? That is what his pom-pom, big bass drum. I get, okay, you've got a lot of competition. You've got the 5 Rogers and the Jolly right? I feel like this is a lot. I feel like I could not keep this, even if I was a very practiced instrument player, whatever, every time you're like, holy shit, what is that? Your instinct is just like to pause and like, I don't know, maybe it's an ADD thing. Maybe other people can keep their focus going through, you know?
I thought he was using his feet for it.
He is.
Which is a little bit, just at least a little bit more.
A little bit more, but if you're sitting on a horse or something and all of a sudden somebody's like, look at this, or like you're whipping
His
around
natural
a corner
instinct is going to be to want to run away, so his beat's just going to go faster.
No, but the thing is, when you're in an audience and you're staring at like an orchestra, for example, there's a lot to take in, okay? Whatever focus you want to do, whether it's the conductor or it's a different instrument or if it's a different person. But when you're the person sitting in your seat and your only job is to play the music in front of you, it is easier to tune out everything else because you're not here to watch a performance. You're not here to watch a T-Rex eat the bad guys. Harry's the conductor. He's in charge of everything.
Jumping in front of your tuba and trying to scare the living shit out of you.
No, but everything's attached to you.
Your orchestra pit.
All you have to do is clap.
Your orchestra pit is not on a freaking roller coaster while you're trying to do that.
Even if you're on a roller coaster, I still think at the end of the day, all you have to do is clap. It's the only thing you have to focus on, okay? Don't fall out of your seat and clap.
Maybe, but I just feel like with this much, because again, it's not even just like a fast car ride where you're like, okay, I ride in a car all the time. It's not, you know what I mean? I feel like these things and like, look at this. Oh my God, there's a thing. Oh my God, like you're about to crash into a building. I'm feeling like for a moment you're just going to freeze up and stop and be like, what the fuck? Oh, yeah. You know, whatever.
I think enough
props
people
to Butters that in this initial part, because I mean, and even so, I like they semi-address it, but like it was tricky getting them on there. Right? But I'm like, okay, but nothing's really happening yet. You're just doing that. When you get out there and shit starts going down, like aside from just this wild ride to the scene, that Butters doesn't falter the whole time. Zombies start jumping out places and ghosts start popping up through the ground and wardens are flinging shit around and Butters just manages to... Feels like a lot more prep than even your polka contest called for, okay? I feel like they're not throwing beer steins at you. Oh, I mean, they might be actually. That could be a total thing.
C'est la vie, I mean...
I say...
They make it work.
He's in, right? He's like, this is his, I'm committed now, right? Like, I jumped on the bad guy, now I'm all in. Nothing is going to stop me from beating this drum. I mean, I don't know if that would make it easier or harder, the fact that it would be like the foot thing as opposed to the... I don't know if that'd be, like you say, easier to do and because you're using, or harder because it feels like it's a less natural thing to have, but... And they almost take out a military check post. The National Guard.
Can you imagine being those poor GIs? Like, they're going to be in therapy forever. Like, they're going to be the next Butters.
So
like,
when
oh, yeah, we saw Tyrannosaurus Rex. Oh, we're going to put you in a very special place.
So this is why the people way out the Gold Coast, like at Wraith Estate, are like, oh, yeah, total Halloween prank. These 4 National Guard guys are like, how the fuck was that a dude in a mask?
If I was a white court vampire, for example, or even a red court vampire, like those would be the ones I would go to first. I'd be like, yeah, that is what you saw. Do you want to see more? Come on with me. Yeah. You did see a dinosaur. You did.
I can explain it. I got all the answers.
You want to know? I'll tell you.
Come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. Yeah, maybe.
But just
they are all running around.
Rather than like going to straight up vanilla, don't know, I would be going after the recently traumatized and we're like questioning and being like, yeah.
And there's no reason to say they're not. They don't always need a challenge. I'm sure they're good for the easy picking sometimes. Yeah, sure. Come on, buddy. I can explain it all.
They're like following conspiracy boards for all the...
Right.
Oh, we got another one.
Wait till you see the pictures I have.
Wait, we already saw that character. Bye, Susan. We miss you.
Nobody at a mansion could mean me harm.
So they managed to get all the way from the field museum to the college in record time. Yeah, which is good because the warden's finest, the wizard's onlyest.
So they come across the wardens who are in trouble with a group of terrified children being attacked by the undead.
Yeah.
And we get this really kind of cool examination of the different levels and fighting styles.
Right.
So Luccio is clearly more experienced than the rest, and she is like putting this amazing fight up, and she's like not only is she wielding magic like a pro, but she's pulling out martial arts moves and sweet sword slashes. She's just killing it and with elegance.
Yeah, and again, you describe all this stuff going down, and you're like, okay, yeah, right. Captain of the Wardens, right? Like you say, she's got a hat. You don't just get it by collecting bottle caps or whatever, right? And then he's like, she took out 30 of them in like 5 seconds, and you realize just how quick all those move, right? You know, I'm like, oh, it's not even like a minute of like fighting all the things. That was all almost like simultaneous. Oh, okay. And yeah, how she can like precision laser her fire beam instead of just like a big gout of it like he just, right? He just like chucks a bucket and she's got like a, yeah, like you say, like a fucking like laser pointer, right? It's just like, oh, so sweet. So.
Right. And Morgan kicks ass as well, but he's sort of more like a rough edge.
Yeah, he's like the earth magic, the big Hulk smash. But it's kind of cool because
we get yet another Snicker snack.
And we get a Snicker snack. And we haven't seen a lot of Morgan all-out fighting yet. Mostly he's just been like harassing Harry. But we haven't seen a lot of like the earth magic yet either, right? We've seen a little bit here and there. And
Earth.
Yeah, but just... You know what? I find that hilarious because my neighbor that I've been checking in on and visiting, she likes watching Jeopardy and stuff like that. So often when I come over, she's just got like, she'll have like YouTube clips and stuff of it. And so there's this one that's popped up a couple of times. I forget who it was, but it was like, you know, somebody back like Aristotle or whoever it was, somebody way back in the day. And they're like, they thought everything was composed of like these 4 elements. And the guy is like, oh, earth, air, water. And we're like, you know, it's just, it's like, and then he runs out of time. And then the other guy picks it up and adds in I was like, how can you not, like when you're, I get sometimes you freeze and your brain, but I'm like, of all the things, like you got the concept he was going for. How could you forget one of those 4 basic elements? I'm like, every freaking like video game alchemy thing, there's like a band, there's, you know what I mean? It was just funny to me that like his brain just froze on because yeah, I'm like earth, air, wind, fire. Like, have you never watched Avatar, man? Come on.
No, I've been studying trivia my whole life.
You've made it to this. You would know this if you had watched, if this was part of your...
Safe to say the Wardens have stones.
Big brass ones?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Harry's a little bit like, oh yeah, that's what these guys do. Right.
The professionals.
Yeah. Dear God, I suddenly saw the difference between a strong but somewhat clumsy young wizard and a master of the magic of battle. Which again is a fair point that everyone's got their, right, this is battle magic that they practice and they use it specifically for combat, right? Not just, you know, potions and things too. So
Wizard warriors.
It's pretty fucking cool.
Very cool.
And yeah, some Murphy-esque moves too. Like just in case you forgot, I know Murphy's not here. But just keep that in the back of your minds. Yeah, in serious trouble nonetheless. So they're making pretty good time, and they are holding their own pretty well against this swarm. But, how does he put it? That's why they never see the sucker punch coming.
Yeah. They're
like, we can do this, we got this. But not when you gang up from us on the other side while we were busy with this horde of monsters on this side.
But they have a Sue who can leap.
Da-da-da-da.
Leap bounds.
Not a second too late.
Right into cars. Smash.
And again, so I get, right, makes perfect sense. They're very busy with this immediate in front of them kind of a thing. I fully understand how they're not seeing or hearing the car coming at them because of that. I mean, again, it's sort of normal, although maybe not at this moment with so much the city shut down, but usually a normal sort of backgroundy noise for us and all this kind of stuff. So he's saying, and he's like, yeah, he's watching them, and he's like, I'm approaching, they don't know I'm coming, they don't see this car because this car is coming at them from the other side or whatever. And then, in his explanation here, he's like, Sue jumps over them so I'm like, wait, if they're facing the other way and he has to jump over, does that not mean they're facing his way and they still didn't see a giant dinosaur coming at them when they were right? I could get it if he was
some like close-up things and immediate attention.
I guessing, right? Like where there's not, right? It's just one of those things that all of a sudden, right? Where I'm like, wait, I'm trying to picture that. Like again, never focused on it that much as I read the book. I was just like, oh yeah, cool, right? But now as I'm like, hang on though.
I gotta say though, like you automatically filter out like a building in your peripheral, right? The Sue looks like a building in your peripheral. You're not expecting it to be moving up to you.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why it would draw it to, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm used to a building. We do that to ourselves sometimes.
They definitely see her now.
They definitely see her now. But yeah, I just find
give them the benefit of the doubt of speed right now, like because she's fast.
That's true. Maybe that's all. They were still, far enough away that they hadn't yet registered, and then all of a sudden she's there. But it was just kind of funny. I was like, wait a second. Like they don't see the car because they're not facing the car, but they can't see Sue because they're not seeing Sue. But Sue jumps over them.
There's 4 sides in the world,
Yes, I know, but you wouldn't necessarily jump directly over them if you were both coming in at, right angles.
Yeah. If I was face-to-face with 30 zombies that are surrounding me, I might not see what's, 30 feet behind them.
Right?
I'll get to those 30 feet when I'm past these 30 feet.
Yeah, no, it wasn't huge. It was just kind of one of those funny sort of things where I'm like, this is, but yeah.
I do love the moment where,
oh, fantastic, right?
where Sue just makes a snack.
Well, even
Like ripping into a chip. But come here, little chip. Crunch.
You've got Luccio driving this car straight at them, right? And it's like, that stupid fuck.
and like whipping it into a spin to just slide and like
Right,
like
get as
let's
many
take
as
them
they
all
can,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, not even just like a head on. He's like, yeah, let's make sure. And yeah, I love that visual of not only just him jumping this dinosaur, which again, I don't know a lot about. I'm like, that would be very interesting. It'd be interesting to see a Tyrannosaurus leap like
Jump,
that.
yeah. It's probably more of a leap than a jump. But,
a leap, a jump, or whatever. But I mean, in some ways, I'm like, all right, this thing
Yeah,
is
you get that
moving.
bounding.
It is conceivable that. But again, right? You talk like elephants can't jump and stuff like that, you know. So I'm like, obviously, T-Rexes have much different makeup, and you can see that, but it's just funny where you're like, is it a mass thing? Is it a weight thing? Is it a physiology thing? I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's a giant chicken. Chickens can jump. This thing lands, and I just love that it comes down right.
Let's go watch Littlefoot again.
Right, and like I don't know, I don't know if it's better or worse that it doesn't land on like the entire car. Like it kind of makes it great that he just
Land
like
before
takes
time.
up, yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny that ensues, but at the same time, I'm just like this big giant leaf. And she doesn't even like land like directly on. She just lands because really, again, dinosaur to car, and she just takes out the hood. Like she just caught like a little tiny bit. But it is fantastic to think of this thing suddenly coming to like a sudden stop like that. Oh my god!
And you're done.
And you're done. Except you're a ghoul, so you managed to not be completely done. But yeah, Sue just makes it so much more better.
It's so simple. Sue ate him.
What's in there?
Gulp. No more ghoul.
And Butter,
Done.
right? And then it gets better because Butter's like, what the fuck was that? Putting his hands over his head? Didn't you watch the movie?
But this is the part for me, like the running, the jumping, the leaping, that's all fine. It's the scooping down to eat something straight off the ground that I'd be like, all right, you're out of the saddle now. Now you've been flung forward and rolled off.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know, maybe they're sort of lashed into that. Yeah,
I think they're probably sitting more lower back than like right up at the neck.
it does say that is sort of more where he...
But
Center
still,
of the spine, closer to the
base of the
shoulder blades.
Yeah, and that's what he says is like at first they're much like on a rearing horse, and then as she starts to run, she leans forward, it levels them out. So I mean, if she's tipped that forward to run, I guess maybe she wouldn't be. But yeah, you're right. It's one of those things where again you're like, this is one of those parts we're not supposed to ask about too much, like whatever it was we were talking about last chapter too, where you're like, I feel like that would be,
Extension of reality.
Yeah, they're just hanging on to those pommels like real tight.
And the thing is like, just the fear for the Wardens, because like you're not seeing Harry immediately, you're just seeing a T-Rex coming at you now, and it's like, how do we even? What
Good
the fuck?
point, because right again, as you imagine this, you imagine it sort of cinema, and of course in movies, the dark
bird's
parts.
eye view.
Well, no, but the dark parts are always a little bit lit, so you can actually see what's going on, right? So I sort of imagine this sort of circle of light around them. But you're right, this whole city is in darkness. They wouldn't be able to see. I mean, I don't know what Butters is wearing right now, his scrub still or something, but Harry, like he's saying, his black jacket and his black jeans on the back of this giant fucking dinosaur
really
in the
end it.
dark. Yeah, like, what's that thing poking up between your little spine ridges? Yeah, right?
Because in reality, they should have been like fireballing the shit out of that T-Rex the second it turned to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, I guess they're too busy gaping in awe.
Yeah.
But see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They didn't keep shooting spells. They all went, what the fuck is this? But not Butters. Butters is like, I'm going to keep beating this drum.
Well, Butters has a job. They don't.
He got warned. What happens? That's more fear right there. He's like, I'm afraid of this.
Motivation, maybe that is right.
done.
Again, that bait,
I have just
visceral.
What this thing can do.
Doesn't matter what my conscious brain is doing.
Also-
my unconscious brain is like, beat that drum.
I think the whole fucking point of a one-man band is that like it echoes a little bit. Like by the time you've claimed the cymbals, that actually still hasn't happened yet. Your hands are going to the drum, and then the cymbals are going. Like your elbows are pulling your elbows are pulling the cymbals, and your hands are pulling the drum, and the ankles are pulling the thing. So like really, one whole movement is like 5 seconds of sound. So you're good. You have a second to gape to be like, oh yeah, right. And
Gotcha. You can freeze for a moment and still not lose.
there's still more,
All right, okay, gotcha.
clanging.
That's why
parts.
Harry wanted the big bass drum, not those little squeaky tom-toms. It's like that thing's gonna boom.
Well, he doesn't have all the other extra instruments that he has to usually play, and he is up on his game because he's ready for competition. So
Right.
really, this is very simple compared to...
And ordinarily, I would agree in the terms of competition. I'm just saying, man.
I mean, he's Olympic level polka here.
Just the dinosaur, I think, would just throw I'm like, okay, I've already seen some zombies. Okay, I've seen Harry hurl some, but now I got, But anyways, so fantastic.
Okay,
Fantastic.
fine. We'll get Mythbusters back together again. Reanimated
Yes.
T-Rex.
You heard him, guys.
Throw
You've been challenged. The gauntlet is thrown. So one ghoul down, and all the wardens are like, okay, we finished killing off the rest of our zombie things. They're getting the kids in the door. Harry just like trots over, and they're like, what the fuck did you do?
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Sorry I'm late, but better late than never. I got here
this
just
guy.
in time.
Holy shit, man. Really? This?
Right?
You thought this was the good idea?
Yeah.
Right? She's aghast. She's shocked.
And
she's
sort of impressed.
horrified.
It's not
and
the
then
plan.
he's like, wait, listen. Right?
Hear me out.
First of all, not a person.
Here's the logic.
Second of all, see that shit going down? Yeah. And you can see, right? It says she's like, and then she slowly is like, okay, we have absolutely no way to. And even as she jumps on, she's like, how the fuck do you know? And he's like, I had the book. She's like, do you have the book? He's like, I had the book. Right? So he's got to have his little, right? Because he's going to be in Shit Creek too if he's
And
like.
for some reason, I have photographic memory now.
Right. Let's not focus on this. All right. I'm glad she didn't ask. Like, it didn't occur to her or whatever that she's like, wait, wouldn't that be written in German? When did you learn German, Harry?
To be fair, most of them don't know each other at all.
No, they do. Well, okay, but they know, right, just with Harry's history, they know of him.
You know,
They
actually,
would-
I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but I might as well do it now. Something that I question, especially when I'm reading these next few chapters, did Justin Dumore not have any friends?
Probably not. Didn't we cover this whole, like, because you're like, how did he just mysteriously raise 2 kids and nobody, right? Didn't
Well,
we
yeah,
cover
I
this
know.
whole kind of keep my private life private, my professional life,
But when he
right? I didn't
goes
talk
on
about
this-
my kids at work.
When he goes on the fight with Morgan in a little bit here, this is like the vitriol comes from just Harry fucked up. It has nothing to do with the fact that you killed Justin. Everyone's like, who cares about that? We don't give a fuck that guy's dead. You're not allowed to kill people with
Right.
magic. But it just seems like this whole time there seems to be zero, because like again, and we get into it with the Kemlerites, and there was inklings that Justin Dumore also stole information from them or wanted to be one or whatever.
Yeah.
However, he was connected to Kemmler in his own way.
Knew enough to steal Bob, yeah.
Yeah, right. However, he was involved in that. It still seems like Justin Dumore still had like 0 friends in the council. And like we've never met any character that's specifically like, you killed my best friend, or like, I hate you because Justin was my bro. Like everyone we meet is always just like, you're a bit of a dick, Harry. We don't care that you killed Justin Dumore. We just care that you killed.
You know what? That is a fair point, because it does say like how Justin was able to be there to get his hands on is he was one of the wardens that went in, right? So if Morgan's been doing this for 150 years, Luccio as captain and older than Morgan, presumably longer than, right? They would have served, and again, who knows? It's hard to say because we've only met a lot about or been given a lot of information about the wardens in the last bit where we've just had their numbers knocked down, right? So I'm like, okay, who knows sort of who worked with who. But again, seeing as Warden is on this turf and looking at, or Morgan is on this turf and looking after, you'd think reasonably
100% knew him and worked with him over
interacted.
hundreds of years.
Or potentially, right? Whether it's 20 or 50 or 200 exactly.
Yeah, but there seems to be no personal connection to anyone. It's like, no. We don't, no one liked Dumore, idiot.
And that, too, I mean, part of why Harry was in such hot water is because Justin wasn't there to write. He's like, no, Justin went bad. I had to put him down. And they're all like, says who?
Yeah.
Right?
And
so
again,
like you say, it's not even now where everyone was like, oh, yeah, it turns out that, yeah, right? Like, oh, again, not even like Harry's like, okay, yeah, this guy totally came after you, but you used magic.
Was
to be
that
right.
out
Like,
of all of
like
that,
you say, nobody knew sort of that Justin went bad, right? As far as they know, he was still just kind of a warden.
But then that would imply that somebody, was on his side, was his friend, was close to him.
Yeah, no,
right?
that's what I'm agreeing
and that's
with
why
you,
I'm
exactly,
so
yeah.
confused about it. Because again, it's more conversations that happened later on too that I'm just like, did that guy really have no friends? Like maybe not. There's
really?
no personal connection to Justin Dumore to a single character in the entire book except Harry and Elaine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's weird. He should have had the whole Wizard Council on his side.
Give or take, other than just people that didn't really.
But essentially, Harry should have only had Ebenezer, more or less, that was like stick up gung ho for this kid, and then we know from way back when whatever the fuck they came into town. Ebenezer had friends that were like, they'll definitely stick up for you because they'll stick up for me and they're my buddies. But you'd think Dumore would have had his own, and it seems to be no. There's just the neutral and the Team Harry, but there doesn't seem to be a Team Dumore in itself. And I'm like, it's just weird that like
Dumore was so much of a dick. Everyone's like, oh, thanks.
But that's the question, is that apparently not, because otherwise they wouldn't have accused Harry of murder. They've been like, you know what, that guy did seem kind of like Kemmlerite-ish. We weren't sure, but good thing you...
Yeah, I was going to say, well, they definitely...
It's like they clearly didn't doubt him enough. Like, maybe he was a dick, but not enough that anyone thought he was evil.
Yeah. But I mean, I could say, like, it is weird, and it certainly doesn't make sense to us, because I don't think any of us are that kind of person. But I mean,
wizards don't make friends.
Well, honestly, we've got this guy where it seems like a really nice... He came on, like, over the summer, so he's been there a few months now, and he was always really quiet. And the first little... And he's, like, one of the drivers, so he's there for a couple hours in the morning, then he's gone all day, and he's there for, you know, an hour at night finishing up or whatever, right? So I get it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like that a little bit. When you first go somewhere new, I'm like, yeah, you gotta get the measure of a place a little bit, right? You sort of see how people are, how they react before you start fully open, right? You be a little bit shy and a little bit quiet and see how you're gonna fit in, right? So I totally got that the first little while that he didn't, and it's different because, I mean, the other girl that we work up in the office, we are not down there a lot, so again, we had less reason. But it's been like 3 months now, and I still don't think he said more than like 10 words to us.
That's a little different than...
It's a little different, but I'm just saying, like, maybe it's a bit right. Maybe there are people like that out there that just, this is their job, this is their profession, that is, and especially
since... for real life, but in a storybook, you need motivation.
but Justin, he had motivation. He had all these secrets to keep. Yes, so why would he invite the Wardens over for tea when he wanted to have this whole other life?
If we want to look at just the minimal amount of time that he would have been part of or feigning to be part of the Wardens at the very least.
Yeah.
So if he was involved with Kemmlerite stuff and if he had just joined the Wardens then he would have had to have at least known him for 30 years.
Well, yeah.
50 years?
Yeah.
Like, he has to have had some kind of, at least a little bit.
That's what I mean.
Conversational. These are the people that you put your life online
At least just enough to make them not think maybe he's doing evil shit in the meantime, that he's avoiding us all. Like, I don't know. I get it. If we look at just Harry's point of view, 99.9% of Harry's friends are mortals. Or if they're involved with the supernatural, it's not through being a wizard. Okay?
Well, yeah, Harry's not hanging out at headquarters all the time, hanging with all his other fellow wizards, whatever that might be.
Honestly,
right?
quite common. Maybe most wizards and witches, most of their friends are just a normal Joe Schmo that lives on their block. And
I was going to just reference that, too. Like, early on, he mentions them all just hiding away in their towers and not coming together.
And I get they're not. But again, if you're dealing with a race that is supposed to be like 500-year lifespan...
I was going to say, again...
to not have a single friend in all this time.
Well, I was going to say, again...
But not make it suspicious.
When he's talking about those musty, dusty wizards, exactly, that's all they're doing is up in their tower. They're not the guys on the Warden Council, right? Again, people that are part of the...
That's even more proof, though,
organization
is that
the organization.
The Wardens are the most sociable.
You got to train with each other. You get sent out. Those are the ones that are taking apprentices. Those are the ones that are reporting back to Edinburgh all the goddamn time, working with each other. We know that there's commanders, and they've all got their sections and their underlings and this and their that. So Justin being a part of that was like, you should have been even more involved than your average stuffy wizard that isn't, paying his union dues or whatever, got tenure and doesn't care. Like, yeah, no, I agree. It is strange that he has so little.
Or even if he,
maybe Morgan was his only friend. That's why Morgan's so like.
Well, but this is why I'm wondering too, because even if he, let's say, was a warden for like 200 years, and then he discovered Kemmler, and he was like, fuck that, this is way faster to evil.
Yeah.
And then he like quit the Wardens after World War II. He was like, you know what, guys, that was really harsh, that was really bad.
I've done my time.
I've done my time. Like, even then, then I could see.
I'm not re-upping.
And then just conveniently in time for him to adopt Harry and Elaine is like right when he's gotten into his retirement age and people are knocking on his door every day, and now he's kind of like, yeah, this is the age that a wizard stops having so many friends. We're used to it. It's not weird and creepy at all. This is like about the time they settle down and adopt orphans and raise their thrall farms.
But I love that. Yes. No, it is.
I want to see as many ways we can keep bringing that up now. Thrall farms.
It's also where they raise the courier pigeons.
That's it. That's my copyright.
Yeah, Jessica's not going to go down in the books as a serial killer somewhere in the next 30 years.
Oh, yeah, 30 years is a huge time limit.
Well, what are you going to do? Kill them all in 5 months? Serial killers, you got to spread it out or you're too easy to catch.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to start in 5 months, yeah. Yeah, right, yeah.
like over the next, not until.
I'll find it eventually. Harry has a T-Rex.
Harry's
The
a
Wardens
T-Rex.
know.
Yeah. And so Luccio is kind of going, okay, I guess we sort of gonna need. And then Morgan again has got the other settle, and he just comes out and he's like, what the fuck? I told you. And then Harry's like, and he's like, oh, you're standing right there. I told you he was gonna turn on us. I told you he was gonna betray us. And they're like, yeah, blah, blah, Morgan. And Harry, it's just before this, I guess, when Harry is talking to Luccio, too, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing with a bunch of little kids? And she's like, they were gonna die. And he's like, yeah, but you guys, like, there's big shit going down. There's zombies. And she's like, they're kids. Do you really think that little of us? And Harry's like, yes. Yeah. And she's like, wow. And I'm like, fair.
It's an exemplary way of showing that, yes, these people do actually have some empathy.
They aren't just automaton killing machine.
We're rewriting the idea of what the disciplinarian people are like.
Well, yeah, right. Harry has had this very black and white, and understandably so, given just, despite even that age, but, just his whole circumstances, it would not have given, but also, like you say, at a younger age coming, he's like, these are just hard-ass, heartless pricks that, will murder anybody at any age if they break the rules. And even if it looks like they're going to bend them, they generally are like, let's not take the chance, right? So him to be like, you just stopped to rescue a bunch of little kids? And they're like, yes, we're not that. But yeah, sometimes we got to make hard decisions, but we are people. We do care. And yes, the captain of the Wardens, and yes, even Morgan, it's the right thing to do, right?
That whole we were too late to save the woman taking care of them, though. I'm like, of course,
right?
You gotta kill off the adults.
Right? There's gotta be something somewhere, and there has to be pain and loss. But so we have that. So yeah. So now they've got to protect them all in the building.
Luccio, fortunately, is able to deal with Morgan, which is nice. That it's not just like Morgan doing his usual stomp, stomp, yell.
I even like it a little bit that, right, he's doing that. And Luccio's not even like, Harry's one of us. He's not, she's just like, we just don't have time for that shit right now. Like, you guys can go have your battle and get out, right? You know what I mean? She's not even like justifying either one of their side or, you know what I mean? She's like, I'm not even addressing that. We just don't have time.
Boss.
Right? She's like, not right now. Let's go deal with it. You guys can have your pissing match after if you insist, right? But not even defending one over the other. She's just like, this is not the time and place for that.
This is one of those moments, though, where you're like, yeah, Harry, you lying ass. Because it's like, update everyone on what the fuck happened. And he's like, Gravane jumped me and got the book, but I did get to read it first.
Which is not untrue. It's just not.
You also had a real quick stint with some fallen angel, stuff in the middle there.
It's like being taken in for interrogation. You don't want to hide anything, but you don't need to volunteer more than what they're asking for either, because you never know how it'll be construed again, right?
I know, but if this ever comes up again, and it's like, what happened in Halloween 2006? And he's like, what, the fallen angel thing? And they're like, no, the T-Rex. He's like, oh, right, fuck.
Well, and that's the problem with lying people, is keeping it straight, but that's Harry's problem right now.
No, I know, but
he hasn't lied. He just hasn't volunteered everything.
Again, broken record here. He's writing this all down. All wizards write it all down. Harry's not. He doesn't write down his case notes because he's a private detective. All wizards just keep diaries.
Okay, yeah, but you keep it under severe lock and key until you're dead, and they can't do anything.
No,
yeah, come at me now, bitch. Yeah.
They will. They're gonna raise him because they're like, we don't classify you as human, you piece of shit.
So we're gonna raise you just so we can behead you for violating the. You know what?
Finally,
I'm at it. Okay, send me back. Wow. But yes. Yeah. That's, again, problems for future Harry, okay? We're not worried about that right now. Same thing as Lashiel. His subconscious is just like, you know what, dude, we're doing this now. We'll worry about that later.
It just makes me wonder, because Luccio presumably was head of the Wardens 14 years ago, when Harry should have been beheaded.
When Harry was.
But presumably, she wasn't there. Because they really don't know each other. He's like somewhat aware of her, but he doesn't hold specific malice to her. So she couldn't have been the one standing there ready to execute. And we know that it was Morgan that was going to be the one to...
And that's what they say too. They even though she's captain of the Warden, we know Morgan is the executioner.
Yeah, and I get that. But it's like she still would have been basically like the judge or so that would have been like, all right, do it, right? Or the one that... Or did they really leave that up to the Merlin?
Yeah, that's more the...
like she was just busy on the other side of the world. They don't have to call all of them. Just he's in charge of the Chicago area or...
exactly. Any one of those things. I would say that, it does seem like it's more the council, like the Merlin or the senior council kind of a thing if you need some kind of consensus. Morgan is and I could see it very, like, she may well have been there, but again, he was blindfolded, so he doesn't really know any, right? Or it could, she could have been out dealing with some other problem somewhere else, and like you say, it's a routine, right? Like,
So I
the
just feel
judge
like
doesn't,
the animosity here
police
should
chief
be.
isn't there for every arrest, right? But yeah.
I just feel like he's got a huge lack of.
Yeah. I think it's more just because Morgan not only was the one who held the sword literally at that time, but also Morgan's the one who's been dogging him for all these, right? He would hate Ramirez just as much if he had been the one, right? He would hate Luccio just as much if Luccio had been the one doing it, right? I think that, Morgan is, part of it is because Morgan is a dick, but it's because Morgan is the one who has been his shadow, his nemesis, his one looking great. So, like you say, and he just has the general disregard and low opinion of Wardens in general, but he fucking hates Morgan because they're the ones that are face to face all the time. So, yeah, I think that's why he has extra animosity. Plus, she kind of just became his boss now, and he just saw what she can do, so really, he doesn't want to get a smackdown from her, like literal or verbal, metaphorical, or,
So he quickly explains how the whole having your necromantic power saves you from necromantic power and blah, blah, blah. That's why it's justified, guys. Don't behead me for this one. It's totally G and necessary as well. Not just cool and fun.
Not just
but
cool and
necessary,
fun.
Okay?
And shows you how smart Luccio is, because he doesn't have to spell it out for her. He's like, they're going to suck up this funnel of power. And she goes, oh shit, that's going to make a vacuum and suck it out of everyone else. All right. So it's like nicely puts the pieces together. Here's a chick who knows what she's talking about, right?
Which is good because they don't have much time before it starts happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that vortex is in action now that you know it's there. Oh, shit.
Yeah, right?
Here
right.
it comes.
So when's it
Straight
going
out
to
the
start? Oh. And we find out that, Yoshimo's already injured at this point, right? She's out of because they leave her to watch the kids. So she's got a broken thigh. That does not sound fun.
No.
Even like a broken shin would not be, but I would just be that much worse, I feel like.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's not a good.
No sitting or walking.
No, right? Like, you're much, So they're gonna just leave her somewhere she can wash this. So I'm like, hope somebody's got like some numbing magic or something, and right, they're gonna have to they'll just pick her up and dump her down in front of the door so she can lie on thing, right?
Harry's like, I learned the best thing ever today.
Right, Harry Yoshima, just do this. You won't even think about it. So so they're already down a man. So they're like, okay, what do? They decide they're like, let's wait a minute until they're in the middle of it, and then we'll distract them and bump them, whatever, right? Because their hands will be busy doing it. And it turns out, that moment is now. So they're just making up their mind to hurry up and wait. And another attack starts.
Flashback to Butters here as everything starts. And another kudos on Butters, who is like still maintaining the drum beat and has learned enough that he manages to get another protection circle around himself to protect himself while everyone's distracted and talking. He's like, oh shit.
And a little bit, yeah.
Butters, you're so smart.
Right.
Picking this up fast.
Butters. Again, loved Butters before, and it's just, again, these last couple of chapters of what, right? You've seen him, literally this book, he has gone through his journey. Magic's not real. Okay, maybe it's kind of real. Okay, Harry can do some stuff. Okay, there's some shit chasing me. Okay, I got this. I can now participate in this world to an extent.
To break people,
and he's
handling it.
Right, whatever doesn't kill you make you stronger, and it didn't break him, right? He's like, okay.
What doesn't kill you gives you trauma.
That too. But yes, another beautiful once the next level of mayhem starts and you get all these little ghosty guys and they're all immediately plunged into saving themselves, saving each other, and he starts freaking out just when he goes, wait, Butters! And as they're closing in on him, like again, he's like, Butters, boing! Wait, it just bounced off. What the fuck?
A really good moment in the audiobook when James Marsters like just how emphatic he is when he's like, good Butters, and I'm just like my voice doesn't automatically do that register, so it's like I don't read it as well as it is, but when I hear it in an audiobook, I'm like, I know when I read it myself, I was just like, good Butters, and then I heard James Marsters, I was like, oh yeah, right, good, yeah, like a man.
Yeah, right, yeah, yes, right, you could just, right, fan-fucking-tastic. Mm-hmm. So he's like, great, but because that's the other thing too, they're about to go in, and Butters like, let's go. He's like, no, you can just stay here, he'll hear the drum. Right? So Butters closes in fast. He's like, oh shit. Wait, Harry said. So, let's hope nobody decides to drive any more cars through this crosswalk. But right now you're safe, and it's just, And on they go. And Corpsetaker takes the field now.
We had Li Xian. It was only a matter of time before.
Right. So, they're knocking off the sidekicks.
Well, it's a little bit crazy to me that Corpsetaker was even down here, because we know presumably, like, you know, Gravane ran off to go and finally do his Darkhallow. Cowell's obviously got his shit together. But it's just a question of, like, why wouldn't Corpsetaker be where they are, too? It's weird that she still thinks it's important to go after Harry right now. Just go get the power and
or the
crush him later.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, again, right, makes sense to have, like, Luccio there and stuff like that. Like, oh, sure, go harass them, right? Call them up and send her, but why is she, right, exactly, that she's not
and I get,
over where
Does she still think he has the book?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If she still doesn't know what the fucking numbers mean, or she's still looking for the book, I guess she could have a reason for, like, no choice. But we kind of already explained it beforehand. Harry already said, like, no matter what, they're all going to show up in case one of the other ones has it.
Yeah.
She should still be operating on that, too. Like,
And like, maybe same as them. Maybe she's like, it hasn't started yet. And again, if she doesn't take these guys out, they can stop her just as easily as they can stop Gravane or Cowell, right? So yes, it could be simply like, yeah, why?
I feel like I'd be like, either all three of us go find Harry, or none
Or
of
all
us find
three-
Harry.
yeah.
I'm not splitting off to go find Harry. What are you two doing? I want to know what the fuck you two are doing.
Right, and to a point, I agree, and I'm like, why wouldn't she look at it from that point? But again, if it's because, like you say, maybe this is still her part of the deal before they all turn and backstab, right, is like still, I mean, because again, Gravane presumably is the one calling up all the zombies that just harassed them, right? So, okay, I'm going to call up all the ghosts, but yeah, why is she? I mean, I don't know, maybe it's another arrogant, like, ugh, you guys suck, you have it, you know what, I'll go do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, in all fairness, she kind of does.
And we don't know who she was at the beginning of all this. Maybe she's got specific beef with the Wardens.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's not enough that 500% of them died. I need the last 4.
Right? Is it here? I can't remember, because he does say at one point when he's battling him that he's like, they're kind of solid, but kind of not. So it's less of my, like, physical weight and more of, like, my magical weight. But is it, I can't remember if it's one of the ghost guys or one of the zombies that, is it Sue flicks, or I can't remember again if it's one of the wizards or Sue, but he basically just, like, splats onto the wall and, like, sticks there, like.
Gross.
It was so gross. It was like, just like this kind of impact enough that it's just like like bugs on a windshield. But yeah, they're taking some damage here, and Luccio and Corpsetaker end up being the ones to face off head to head there, while Harry's busy trying to get Sue to do stuff and him trying to do stuff, and all the wardens are a little bit scattered and fending for themselves. Loads of shit going on. And he's like, go Luccio. And Luccio's kicking some ass until all of a sudden she isn't. And this was a crazy moment too. I remember first time around.
Just like
You're
heart beating wildly. Like so much is happening so quickly.
So much, so fast. And then you're like, yes, right? Like, of course, Luccio's going to say, right, she's the good guy. We know the good guys have to win and blah, blah, blah. And
What's that name we've been using all book long?
oh, does that actually have, did the names have meaning? It's not just an empty title? Mm-hmm. Fuck, right? Because, yeah, again, in the heat of it, I don't think that's where I was thinking either. I was like, right, because they're all like, but again, he describes like this fancy little sword move, right? So because they were battling, right?
Yeah, they're parring and whatever.
Smart. You're like, okay, yeah, Luccio got it in, right? And then as it continues, I was like, oh, fuck, man, it's a good thing I wasn't standing in that alley, because I'm like, I was not right there with you in that moment, Harry. Good thing your spidey sense went off, because I was not going there immediately. And yeah, when he's just like, and I mean, it was a little better for us. Like, I think it would have been that much more dramatic had he just, like, if we'd seen it more from Morgan's point of view. But we do sort of at least know where, because Harry does stop and call out, Corpsetaker! Right? And then you get that momentary freeze, and right? And then you're like, oh, shit.
I don't know. It's almost that dread, like just the dropping, sinking stone in your stomach of knowing, like, when Harry realizes, like, and it's not that Corpsetaker says anything wrong. She doesn't give away any
She does quite a good job.
It's a very good job. It's just something in the eyes that Harry's like, wrong.
Well, it's the dying body that, right? It's not even
taking
Luccio.
that final blow to finish the job where she has been, like, doing
that
that this entire time.
I was going to say that, which again, to me is a little bit like, yeah, you would think, again, from Corpsetaker's perspective, let's just make sure. Because this isn't even like I'm just going to let you torture and die. Like, she's in the middle of shit going on here. You'd think she would be like, right? And then, I'm like, I get there's a lot in your hurry up, but I'm like, you'd think you would have time to take that. But thankfully, whatever.
Maybe it's just really disorienting and she's kind of blacking out right now and she can't see very well. So she's like, stumble away, let's go, act normal, get out of here.
And right, there's a million things. It could just be like she figures that's more of like a Luccio thing, like rather than continue to hack it up, right? Just she's done for, walk away. And, right, there could be any number of reasons why she felt that looked better or it could be it been completely irrational. But
like you said, like seeing the dramatics from Morgan's eyes, you just see Harry pull out his gun quickly. Like, there's really no hesitation.
Again, right? This happens again very fast. Takes a long time to explain it, but not a lot of time to enact it. And
pulls out his 44, aims at the back, and just
disappears around the corner. The good guy comes back out. Harry pulls his gun and shoots her in the back of the head, or I guess in the front of the head because she does turn around to face him. But yeah,
because they just about start to soul gaze, and he's like, "No."
Yeah, and catches her in the
before you
cheek,
can death curse anybody.
But even my heart was because again, you got to kind of run with it in the book, but you're like, but you don't know, Harry. You don't know, right? Harry's got to make that.
What if you're wrong?
And Harry has to I might actually be shooting Luccio right now.
And Harry even says in the moment, like she's preparing a spell, not a death curse, because she thinks that her disguise is so good. But had he hesitated that one more second, she could have gotten that death curse.
Well, that's
too.
it, right? Yeah, she's busy thinking, I got to go steal me some godly power and stuff, right? She's not expecting him to have clued in that fast that that is her. And that, goes back, I think, to whatever we were saying. They were like, do they just always go around, hold it? Well, apparently they don't, right? More of it is, okay, and as we've seen with Harry, usually it's when he gets himself into a real dire situation where he's like, I might not make it out. Let me see, who do I want to blast that's with me right now?
Like, you are so lucky. Is all I'm saying. Like, you're so lucky. And we know
because
he didn't
she's
receive
a lot more powerful than.
But we know he did not receive Dumorn's death curse.
Yes.
So, to have killed 3 wizards and only received 1 so far, are really fucking good odds.
And he managed with kind of a weak one to.
Because that's supposed to be
curses aren't as effective as.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Though is
to be.
That's the reason wizards get a death curse. It's supposed to be this is the reason to not fucking go around killing wizards.
It's really good propaganda.
Harry says it straight up in book 1. We're hell on wheels, but we gotta have time to prepare.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can still surprise. Our death curse is only good if we see it coming.
I know.
Yeah. Like you say, it is that.
But 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
It's that deterrent, right? Exactly. Like, no, you don't want to take the chance.
It's good to have that reputation anyways.
Well, no kidding. If I was Harry, I'd be going around saying that I'd received Dumorn's and Corpsetaker's death curse.
He tried.
Swallowed
she tried.
No problem. I would not be like, it didn't work. I'd be like,
it felt like a bee sting.
Yeah. I'm not worried about it. Die alone times 3. Oh, well.
So Morgan, of course, has the best and or worst timing ever and has seen Harry
kill Luccio.
I mean, for 1 second, though, Morgan was like, vindication!
I fucking know. I told you 5 seconds ago when I said, I told you so.
We don't have time for that because I'm going to kill you now for killing Luccio. But fuck me, I fucking told everyone.
And this is another fantastic on the audiobook, how this ends. Right? Morgan with the
God, so raw.
Traitor. Oh, shit.
Oh, man. I have chills now thinking about it.
I was listening to it on the last way over. I was like, oh,
jeez.
Yeah.
And you just know, you're cooked, Harry. You're cooked. There's no way to get out of this one. And like you said, we even ourselves don't know that Harry was right. Where this chapter ends.
We're in oh fuck out, okay, he must have been, right? But yeah, exactly. It's like we're going on your impressions, and that's all it is, because you haven't had time to check.
Crazy.
This concludes our episode 13.28, Little Drummer Boy. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.